Hey guys, Ponce here on the PBE, here to talk to you guys about some item balance changes which have come into effect in patch cycle 6.8 on the PBE. So that's actually probably going to live pretty soon, but we'll talk about this before that happens, I suppose. First, starting off, let's talk about Mercurial Scimitar. So Mercurial Scimitar right here. So the base damage has actually been nerfed. It's gone down to 65 from 75, so 10 lower. To compensate, I suppose the base, or rather the combined cost has gone down, and it now costs a total of 3,600 gold for the completed item. Used to be 3,700, so there you have that. Not a hell of a lot to say on that. Mercurial Scimitar, whatever. I do want to quickly mention Corrupting Potion again. I do realize I talked about this in the previous video, so I'm not going to go on about this for too long. But the HP you get from it per use has gone down by 25 to 125, and the actual mana sustain on it, so the mana you get back, has actually gone up from 50 to 75. So they just kind of swapped it around. I personally actually prefer this. By my estimation, it's a bit of a buff, but it depends on your perspective on these things, I suppose. So, like I said, I already talked about that in another video. That's it for that. Mainly, what I actually want to talk about here is actually Iceborn Gauntlet. Probably because I'm going to have the most to say about this. But, yeah, Iceborn Gauntlet has actually been nerfed. The Spellblade effect is now literally the Sheen Spellblade effect. It is 100% of the base damage, gone down from 125%. So it's a pretty substantial hit right there, making it, yeah, very, in terms of at least the passive proc thing, definitely, it already was clearly inferior to Trinity Force, but yeah, just definitely way more so now. Of course, Iceborn Gauntlet still has its own thing going for it. It's still got the it's sort of the more defensive mana-y, cooldown reduction sort of thing. Actually, Iceborn Gauntlet, by my estimation, was always like a really good item. If I recall correctly, at release, it was actually really, really good. It was kind of the go-to item on a wider selection of champions, and then it's been nerfed over I guess it's years at this point. It's a fairly old item, I think. Well, not old, but kind of not new anymore. To this day, I mean, I still really like it on, actually, Alawi, which I think is a little bit unusual. I don't think most people build it on Alawi, if anyone builds Alawi, or plays Alawi still. I know she has her own problems, so, I mean, that's kind of her own thing. But, yeah, it was really good on, old and new Taric and stuff like that. And, of course, sort of the poster child for this item is EZREAL, who I'm going to talk about a little bit here because... Well, let's preface the whole thing by saying, I know Blue EZREAL has his place in the game, and he's not terrible. So, going from that, though, let's just say I hate Blue EZREAL. He is my least favorite pseudo-standard build in the game. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I mean, obviously, this is a very obvious one, but Blue EZREAL deals less damage, right? I mean, it's just a function of how it is. The problem is that when people are playing Blue EZREAL with less damage, it's almost like they forget auto attacks exist, and they play it like this crappy damage pseudo AD caster thing, and they just try and kite forever, and they shoot, and it's played very poorly. It's like these people need to kind of remember that at the same time they still are an AD carry. And it's just, when you go into fights, just teams have less damage as a result. And I'm not saying that's completely insurmountable. There is a way to work with that. But a lot of the Blue EZREALs, you just kind of build Blue EZREAL because Blue EZREAL is apparently a thing, and that's what you do, and you don't need to, kind of actually play it properly. No, you do need to play it properly. In fact, you need to probably play it even more properly than a standard AD carry because it's actually harder. Now, the second problem is not entirely the EZREAL player's fault. But the thing about Blue EZREAL is, obviously, it's different, as we just established, right? The people playing around you they're not going to be either used to playing with Blue EZREAL as a general concept, or not immediately recognize that they're playing with a lesser damage team comp immediately. Because, the standard sort of, kind of, I suppose, muscle memory, you're worrying about your own thing. Game of League of Legends is that you just have this general feel about how much damage your team should have going into a fight. And then so they play that normally, And simply because people are just so worried about what they're doing, which is reasonable. I mean, you play League of Legends, it's difficult to have to worry about what other people are doing. You kind of go in with your own, okay, I'm going in, I expect this much damage just because I'm used to playing the game. And then they go in, and then there's a blue EZREAL who's just kind of kiting around and doesn't do any damage. Well, not no damage, but not very much damage. And then everyone dies, and it's like, well, crap. And then some people at this point might realize, oh, right, we got a blue EZREAL. Okay, I got to adapt a little bit. Or, they might not realize it all because they just can't. And it just doesn't end up working. Now, of course, again, this is not the EZREAL's fault entirely. But at the same time, the reality of the situation is everyone else is not used to playing with you, and you're at this point making it difficult on them to play. Again, so not your fault, but this is the reality of the situation. If you don't adapt to the reality of the situation at this point, some of the blame is yours as well for playing the blue EZREAL. It's not just about you, it's making everything easier on your teammates at the same time, because this is ultimately a team game. It's kind of very similar to the concept of, I've mentioned this on my stream, but sort of like the right decision to make in terms of any given point in League of Legends may not actually be the right decision. The wrong decision might be the right decision because everyone else on your team is, like, as a unit, making the wrong decision. And therefore, they're together making the wrong decision, and therefore ends up being the right decision. And you doing the right decision is actually the wrong decision because you're off on your own and you're dead. So that's somewhat convoluted. So we get what I'm talking about. But that sort of idea. Yeah, so I don't know, like I said, I think blue EZREAL is the only AD carry I have ever seen, like, somewhat consistently, go 10-0 in lane. You guys know the classic, the 10-0 AD carry in lane, the game's just over. Like, there's nothing you can do. He's going to right-click on everyone's going to die because the damage is stupid. EZREAL is the only one who I've seen to fail carry in those situations more than a couple times, and just simply because he doesn't have the damage. He's not equipped to carry as well like that, and at the same time, it's also played fairly poorly often because people aren't optimizing damage with him and stuff like that, and they're too concerned about the whole kite AD caster playstyle. Sometimes you got to right-click on people. I've literally seen blue EZREALs forget to right-click on people because they're so busy trying to run away and use their Q constantly. So yeah, I don't know. I'm personally just a fan of keeping it simple. Like, consistency and simplicity in League of Legends is often what you want. Just do the right click, murder everyone with your damage. Don't, if you can get away with right clicking on people and everyone dies, you don't have to think about it. Why not just do that? So I suppose that's the moral of the story is keep it simple. Don't play blue EZREAL. No, it's not entirely true. I'm not saying never play blue EZREAL. There are people who do it quite well. I've seen good blue EZREALs. But anyway, that weird aside about things that were not the items, we were originally talking about Mercurial Scimitar, Corrupting Potion, Iceborn Gauntlet, and kind of this video mainly turned into a blue EZREAL thing. But yeah, I'm off to probably go stream actually League of Legends for the first time in about a month, so that could be an interesting day to tune in. We got to get used to the game again. It's not very difficult, so I'll probably get the hang of it pretty quick immediately after uploading this video. So I'll be playing that probably for a few hours. I might switch back to Dark Souls 3 later, we'll see, but definitely for the time being, I do want to play a little bit of League of Legends again. It's been a while. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, everyone, and don't play EZREAL.